In this video, I'm going to be talking about the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction School Accountability System, also referred to as school report cards. I'm going to help you understand what these numbers represent and how to interpret them. So, school and district report cards are produced by the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction, abbreviated DPI, every year for all publicly funded schools and districts in the state of Wisconsin. They report out findings on 4 priority areas: achievement, growth, target group outcomes, and being on track to graduation. In addition, they also report out information on course and program participation for grades 9 through 12. The accountability system, referred to as accountability report cards, or abbreviated just district report cards or school report cards, are reported out on a rating system that is intended to provide a rating so that you can compare district to district, because they've used statistical models to account for unique variables and create a system that allows for apples to apples comparison. So the accountability categories, I'm going to go right here. The accountability categories are significantly exceeds expectations, exceeds, meets expectations, meets few expectations, and fails to meet expectations. And you'll notice over here the score range, which I think is just absolutely astounding. So if you look at the top score, which would be sort of the A category, if we want to, continue with the academic thinking here, 83 and up is an A. That's pretty cool, I think. 83 and up. Wow. Okay, so 70 to 82. 70 to 82. Usually a 70 is a C, but no, that's exceeding expectations. That's a B. Meets expectations is down to a 58. So I want you to think about that. Just let that sink in. And I have to wonder if these measurements are so rigorous that schools have a difficult time meeting them, and that's why they had to adjust the curve down, or if it's that we have so many things that we need to work on in the state of Wisconsin that the curve needed to be adjusted down. I'm not sure, but that's something for you to ponder. So, as I said, these report out the performance of all public schools and districts, and you need to know that it also includes charter schools, as well as any of the private schools that are participating in the parental choice program. So in some areas, families are allowed to enroll in a private school as part of a parental choice program. And so then their data would be included as well. The ratings determine sort of the credibility of the school, so to speak. So the higher significantly exceeds expectations, that's a pretty prestigious distinction. And those schools would receive rewards and recognition. And those that go down into the fails to meet expectations, well, it's not really that they get punished. But they receive state intervention. What that means is that there are programs that these schools need to implement in order to improve performance in the areas that they're not showing very good performance. And that's a difficult spot for a school to be in, because they end up with a lot more reporting and a lot more red tape that they have to go through. And they're already working at capacity. So it's a tough thing. So this is a chart that you have on the website, and I will link you to the website on Canvas. But you're welcome to take a look at this report cards at a glance chart. If this will help you interpret the information more effectively, great, use it. I didn't find it much help for me, but just know that it's there, and you can use it if you so choose. So let's get into the report card database. So this is this is the landing page for the report cards home. And this is the very first, this landing page where you go. Okay, so then you'll click here for school and district report cards. And you have a choice of selecting the years that you want to have reports for, whether it's public or private, the district, and or the school. So in this situation, I'm going to choose most recent report card results. And I started out with Whitewater Unified School District, and then I ended up selecting just the high school. So what I'm going to show you is data from Whitewater Unified School District's high school results. So up here we see that we're looking at Whitewater High School, and Whitewater High School is grades 9 through 12. Enrollment is 576 students, and 3.1% of the overall student population have requested to attend school in another district. That's referred to as open enrollment. Student groups. So this tells you the demographics of the school. That's racial and ethnic profiles here. So we've got all the classifications here, and you'll see that there's almost 34% of the population is Hispanic or Latino. Just over 59% are white, and the rest is very low percentages in other racial or ethnic areas. In terms of students with disabilities, 14.4% of the school's population are students with disabilities. 37.2% are economically disadvantaged, and just over 10% are English language learners. So this gives you a little bit of some insight in terms of what the students' demographics are. Now, this is the big stakes picture right here. This tells you what the school scored at and lets you know the priority areas that were measured. So the overall score for Whitewater High School was a 64.8, and that puts them right here in this meets expectations category. So they received 3 stars, good for them. And this tells you over here the priority areas that went into determining this score. And you'll see achievement, growth, target group outcomes, and on track to graduation. And the percentages inside of this circle chart is the weight, how much weight each of these outcomes were given in calculating this overall score. So let me go into a little bit more about what's measured. So what goes into the school's rating. So what the state has identified is 4 priority areas that are being measured. And so that's achievement. It's important to note English language arts, abbreviated ELA, and math only are counted in terms of achievement. Then there's growth, target group outcomes, and on track to graduation. Here's how those scores are reported. And so you can see the priority areas. You can see each of the 4. And you will see that some of them, show you a comparison. Well, they all show you a comparison, with the exception of the target group outcomes, a comparison between how the school performed and how the average state performance was. So I'm going to go into each one of these areas individually now. Okay, so the first priority area is student achievement. And so what this is a calculation of knowledge and skills among all students in that specific school compared to, and then it's compared to the state and national standards. What you need to know is that the results here are calculated based on several ELA, reading, and then also math test scores taken by all students in the school district and or state. So you'll see here achievement is at 49.4%, and ELA, the performance there is 51.6, and you need something to compare that to in order for that number to even mean anything. So if you look at statewide, students are performing at a 59.8% there. So the students here are performing just a little bit under the state average, by about 7%. And then mathematics, the high school is at 41 or 47.1, and then the state is at a 53. So you can see that there's also a difference between where the students in the school are performing in comparison to the overall state average. Priority area number 2 is student growth. Now, this is really an important area to be thinking about, because schools are focusing more and more on student growth rather than just student achievement. Because let me explain what goes into this number here. So this is how much student knowledge of reading and mathematics changes from year to year. So this is about students either progressing towards higher performance levels or students declining. And it focuses on the pace of their academic achievement gains or losses, not on a specific performance score. So this isn't about, if somebody achieved a 99% or whatever, that means nothing to this. What they're doing is they're comparing the student's performance from one year to the next, and an increase is the important factor. And this also is good for the schools that have very high academic performance, because typically if you're already at a high academic performance, you can kind of just sit there and you've got great achievement. Well, now schools with really high academic performance, they too have to show that their students are growing. And you'll see here that we've got growth in English language arts here. Again, this is about 10% below the state average. And then in math, we're just a little bit above the state average here in terms of growth. So when schools receive these data, this report back, they take a look at these numbers, and they take a look at the numbers behind the numbers, so that they can pinpoint more accurately what's happening to produce these growth scores or hold back the growth scores. And so what typically happens is that teachers will have professional development to go over these numbers and identify specific interventions that they can do in their classrooms to encourage growth. And so they really do use this as a guide. All right, the next one is priority area 3, and this is target group outcomes. And this was a new one for me. I'm used to the old report card system, And this one, it was really eye-opening to me. So what they do is they identify the bottom quartile or the bottom quarter of students from the prior year's state assessments. So the students who scored the lowest in the lowest quarter of all of the students in the school, that's who they're measuring. That's who they're targeting. So this isn't about looking at the performance of specific racial or ethnic groups or gender or anything like that. This is not about demographics. This is about purely performance last year and then looking at what happened this year. So this is a measure of the bottom quartile, bottom quarter of the performance of the student test takers in the school in terms of achievement, growth, chronic absenteeism, and attendance or graduation rate. So these four are reported out over here, and you can see that the results over here. They've got a high graduation rate. So about 93% of students in the bottom quartile do go on to graduate or show that they're on time to graduate. They're on track. About 70.8% are in that chronic absenteeism measure, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And they are showing some growth here, and their achievement isn't quite where you'd want to have it. So let's go on to that other measure of on track to graduation. Now, what this measures is the success of students in the school as they're achieving specific educational milestones that research has shown is a good predictor of post-secondary success. Post-secondary is any education beyond high school. And those measures are chronic absenteeism, the graduation rate, and attendance rate for schools that don't have a graduation. So this would be like elementary and middle schools. So we see up here the report is at an 88%, and so they've got let's just look at the graduation rate here. So they've got about 94.7% graduating and 91.2% graduating at the state level. So that's pretty good. Moving forward, this is also a really interesting area. It's called the student group value added area. And let's take a look at that. So what this is, it's a statistical manipulation that allows the numbers to it eliminates right here factors beyond a student's control that can really affect the growth rate that students make, such as students' prior achievement, their economic status, disability status, whether they're English language learners. And so this value added measure here is intended to level the playing field so one number can be compared to the other. And here we go with the target group outcomes again. We had them up here. Here, remember we had measure of target group outcomes. There we are. But here's a specific chart and or specific graphs showing you where those students were at. And let's take a look at them again, reminding you that this is the students in the bottom quarter. And it's designed to inform, like I said, improvement efforts. And this is where you'll see schools really poring over the results and trying to figure out how to raise the bottom, meaning raise up the learning of the students who are down at the lowest level of performance. And So here is more detail on the On Track to Graduation measure. There we go. So a little bit on this idea of on track to graduation. One of the things that you need to know is that a student is considered chronically absent if they miss more than 10% of the overall possible days of attendance. And this is considered an indicator of whether or not a student is, on a solid footing towards graduation or not. And that also the state does have requirements for how many days a student can miss with a parent's excuse versus a doctor's excuse. That's something that you'll want to know about as well. Post-secondary preparation. Here, this shows some of the factors that go into determining if a school is really gearing up its students for post-secondary success and preparation. And you'll see here that here there are no advanced courses, no dual enrollment, no industry recognized credentials, and no reported work-based learning. This doesn't mean that there weren't any, it just means that none were reported. And it's considered a priority area. Let's go here. And then you have course and program data. This is an extra thing that's reported out. And this tells you like if students are participating in advanced courses, those post-secondary prep courses, if they're enrolled in secondary and post-secondary classes at the same time, meaning dual enrollment. They're pursuing industry credential courses, work-based learning like apprenticeship programs and internships. If they're involved in art and design, dance, music, theater, that information will show up in this course and program data. Now, one of the things that those of you who are involved in or are planning on getting a license in business education or in art, theater, dance, this is something that you'll want to look at for any of the potential schools that you're applying for down the road, or doing field study or your student teaching at, because you can see at a glance how many students are participating in these types of activities. And that can give you an idea of sort of how secure that position might be or not, or how much emphasis the school puts onto into these courses and programs as well. And the last thing that I want to point out is that there are district level report cards as well. And I'm not going to go into that. I'm sure you're very thankful because this has already been almost 24 minutes. But they're very similar to the school report cards. It's just that the district is considered, like one big school responsible for all students. So it's not an average of all of those schools together, but it's a summary of all of those students as if they went to one big school. And so I'm encouraging you to take a look at the district level report for the school that you were assigned for O&P, and also the school that you were assigned for O&P. Those of you who went to a school district in Wisconsin for high school, you might want to pull up their data and see what levels of performance and all of that you can see with your previous school where you graduated from. It's always interesting to look back and see how they're performing. And if you look at that historically, go back several years, you can even see, some of the years that you were there. So anyways, I hope that this has been helpful. So I'm going to turn you loose now to go and pull up data on your assigned O&P school and district, and I wish you well in interpreting those data. This is something that teachers do. This is something that goes into data-driven decision-making, data-driven instruction, and we'll talk about that another day.